20 years. 20 years of the definitive experience you can have with any video game. It is perfection. It is love. It is everything sweet that the good Lord could have possibly given us, wrapped into 2 GameCube discs. And then somebody said, that's stupid. Let's put it on one PlayStation 2 disc. This is one of the greatest experiences you can have with a video game, and that's why I decided this would be a good podcast to do. And placing gameplay over it is going to be a nightmare, but you know what? I'll do it. I am joined by somebody else who has good experiences with the game, same as I do. And we're just gonna kind of dive into our experiences with it and what makes it such a great game. For me, I got a hold of it Christmas time, a couple years after it came out. It was like one of those sympathy gifts because my family was obnoxiously broke at the time. So they went out and got one of the cheapest games they could find. Resident Evil 4 was one of them. I would play Resident Evil 3, even though now my opinions on that game have greatly changed, but I'd play it quite a bit. Nemesis. It had a Dino Crisis demo on it, but I don't know why I said that. When I first played Resident Evil 4, I hated it. I'm walking through the woods, I end up in this house, it takes forever to kill this guy and the other 2 dudes, and I saved at the first typewriter, which is literally like right when you go into the woods, and I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore. And then I got so burnt out on every other game I had that I decided to try it again. And I got hooked. I don't know what it was, I just got hooked. I was playing on a tiny little CRT in the corner of my bedroom on a stand that was literally just a sideways toy box. And it was engaging. And my first playthrough, because I was terrible and kind of stupid, took me about 30 hours. And then for a few years, I didn't play it. And then one day, I was bored. I was doing another playthrough. I had left off in the water room in the castle. We'll get more to that later. I would always get stuck on it. And then I got past it, and I beat it all in one sitting. And then I just kept playing the game over and over and over and over again. So that's my experience. How did you play Resident Evil 4 the first time?
Well, it was a November release in 2005. I was 4 years old.
On what console?
GameCube.
It launched in January.
It was in January? Okay, cool. So I was
3
years old. I was in preschool. And thanks to my early development of insomnia, I would sneak into my stepbrother's room and play it on his GameCube with the volume all the way down. And I don't remember too much of my initial playthrough. I remember getting stuck on El Gigante. I remember Del Lago causing my development of fear of water. And this game also causing me to develop a fear of chainsaws for a very long part of my life because they're terrifying things to exist on. Then jump ahead like 13, 14 years, because the only time after that I played it was the HD re-release on the Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
And this game kind of became my hyper-focus for a month or 2. I cleared through it multiple times over, did runs with just pistols, just shotguns, used all the weapon combinations I could mess with and have fun with, developed a rather weird loadout that I would go through as a preferred playthrough, and kind of fell in love with the game. And even now, it's one I'll frequently pick up. I might not finish it, but if it's it's a weekend and I'm not particularly doing anything, I'll just start up Resident Evil 4 and play through until I get bored. Which could be the whole game. It could be just getting through the castle. It could be really anything.
So the game kind of begins right off the rip. Everybody can admit the story is not. It's not a cinematic masterpiece by any means. Absolutely not. It is absolutely not this grandy, wonderful story. I mean, it starts with the cheesiest cutscene, like 1998. I'll never forget it. And some guy's taking a whiz in the woods, and then you show up to this house, but. You know, in hindsight, my first experience, it wasn't the greatest, but it does open very well, because it's Resident Evil, you're expecting zombies, and the guy isn't a zombie, he doesn't turn into a zombie. and you're just kind of being chased through the woods. And immediately it does create kind of a sense of immersion because there's already stuff to do. You can kind of run upstairs in the house, investigate a few things. You get to save that dog, which has no bearing on the plot. I remember years later, I thought that dog that helped you with El Gigante, I thought that would only happen if you freed the dog, but no, that'll happen no matter what.
You also need to jump back into how games looked in the time period.
Oh yeah,
like this game was groundbreaking graphics at the time, and your brain will fill in the gaps. So this was like the most hyper realistic game that some people have played.
Still looks great,
and it still holds up very well. It's stylized. The
fire,
the bland color tones kind of add a sense of charm and coldness to it, which fits the aesthetic. It's supposed to be middle of fall in Spain.
Yeah, kind of like fall going into winter.
Yeah. The ground crunches when you walk. So add all that with just the strange atmosphere, it does create a good immersive sense of mystery and a small bit of unease as you walk through the woods. I mean, the aforementioned dog you find in a bear trap, surrounded by a couple of bear traps,
and you can save it or you can't.
Yeah,
or try to kill it and realize you can't.
Yeah, I think all of us tried.
At least on a repeat playthrough.
But I think if you shoot the dog,
it runs away.
It runs away and won't help you. I think if you shoot the bear trap, it will, or is it you shoot in general to
the dog? Whether or not you free the dog at all has no effect on the El Gigante fight.
Oh, it distracts him, but depending on who you are. And
well, I mean, the dog will show up no matter what.
Oh, it's just whatever.
Yeah. Well, remember, there's also right after you get into the village, and then you have that big ambush, the stampede. Where you find the shotgun, and we all felt so cool when we found that shotgun on the wall and the hand grenade just casually sitting in the cover. That was great. Because when you're playing through the first time, or you're not doing a repeat playthrough where you don't have all the good weapons, that is very tense because you don't have a ton of ammo to burn through when you're dealing with those guys.
I think there's one guaranteed drop.
Yeah,
on the way to it.
Well, there's shotgun ammo in the top of the bell tower, not the bell tower, but like that watchtower and in the farmhouse across. I mean, it's there. There is ammo for the shotgun there. There's ammo for the pistol there. There's a yellow herb. Actually, I think there's 2 yellow herbs in the village. But then that's when the game really begins. So I shows the Resident Evil 4 logo after he's like, where are they all going? Bingo, which again, stupid lines. The game's plot is so dumb. It's like an 80s like action movie, and I love every bit of it.
That's one of the few gripes about this game that kind of holds up is the uncharacteristically goofy dialogue.
And they love it.
Oh yeah, it adds to the charm of the game. Leon's supposed to be this hardened
cop.
He was a cop, and then apparently in one of the Chronicles games, or I think it was Umbrella Chronicles, he's in Africa with Krauser for some reason, and he's training to be like, I don't want to say Secret Service, but that's more or less what he is at this point. Yeah. I mean, he's the go-to guy for the president, so he might as well be. And he's making stupid lines about bingo after more or less just breaking into a man's house and shooting him by all that he understands of the situation currently.
I'm not going to talk too much about the remake, but it's even more egregious in the remake, the way you just break into this.
Yeah, he walks into a house,
hey,
speaking a strange language, asking about a girl in a photo.
And then basically, I don't know, I don't speak Spanish, but he basically says something along the lines of, get out of here.
Yeah, like the man warned him. So he pulls the axe in self-defense and Leon shoots him anyway.
Yeah, but anyway. Then you get to the farm section afterwards, and I think that's when the game's atmosphere really sits in, because I always liked it because they didn't aggro you until they saw you. And that's when the game's collectibles and side quests kind of, well, I wouldn't call them quests, but like the side things you can do really start to stick out, because the farm is like the perfect place to introduce it, because you get the beer stein, you got the pearl pennant, which you can prevent from being dirty to make money. I don't know why he couldn't wash that off in a stream somewhere and
opening the well again to never be able to close it again.
Yeah. We all made that mistake at least once. And then you get the medallions. And we will get to the medallions. Trust me, that is a point of contention.
I'm fond of the medallions as a collectible.
I am too.
They stand out extremely well.
But they're still hidden decently enough that you gotta look.
They also flash, so even if your brightness is down lower or it's on an older TV or something or other, you can still see them even at night, because I think you can still collect them when you go through again at night.
Yeah, that's actually the last time you can collect them.
Okay.
Any of them. And the farm also has that dog, so I think that's actually where it came from, regardless of whether or not you free it. There is the dog in the farmhouse, but that little tiny farm area, I mean, because it's tiny. When we really think about it, the environments were not particularly large.
It's 3 cows and some chickens, I
But
think.
they felt larger than they were, and having to move the bookcase to get the beer stein and get out. I mean, it's little breadcrumbs that throw you in the right direction. And then
It does a lot with a little.
and then it immediately moves. You go through that tunnel where you can get the spinels on the ceiling. And you don't know what they do yet when you get the spinels. You don't know. Because you haven't found the merchant yet. But then you can shoot the nest out of the trees. There are collectibles there. Guys are chucking dynamite at you. And that's when you learn one of the best mechanics in the game, which is being able to shoot the dynamite as it's going through midair when they light it. And it just blows them up. I love that.
I was always more fond of shooting them while they still hold it, so they make that they
just
say a
disappear.
line in Spanish and then they explode.
Yeah. And then you get let into the house and you find Lewis, and like it's like, wow, a normal dude that's here. And every teenage girl is like creaming in their pants because, oh, mysterious Spaniard man. Be careful, but the game has a bug that sucks, because that's one of the sections that has the tripwire dynamite. If you shoot the dynamite, your reticle gets actually stuck, like twitching, and you have to shoot the dynamite again to make it stop twitching. That's a bug they never fixed.
I've never encountered this bug.
You probably didn't pick up on it because the reticle shakes anyway, but in this particular instance, like it's like twitching like crazy. And then you get moved to another environment far away with those bridges. Again, a nice environment, a nice piece of land. You know, when they got those bridges, you can shoot them, they just fall off. You can dispatch with all of them. You got to find the halves of the penance. It's another part that's like, it's explorative, but it's tense because they're really putting it to you. And then you go through that building. I can't even describe what it is.
It's supposed to be a factory.
Yeah, it's like flooding.
If you read the lore notes in the game, it talks about I think this is shortly after in-universe when the Plagas starts taking over Salazar and all them. We'll get to Salazar in a minute. They did try to industrialize the village a tad bit and bring jobs into the workforce. I think that's one of the big things that what's his name, Mendez, the leader of the village, the chief. Because prior to that, the bridges he was mentioning were in a quarry.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were strip mining. I don't think we ever have a way of knowing what. We could assume the millions of spinels that lie around the location.
Yeah.
But
they have a spinel mine later down the road, if you remember.
I don't remember.
We'll get to that right before the minecart.
Okay. But yeah, they do try to make this village feel very alive.
And it works.
It works amazing.
But it feels alive because it feels dead.
And because of its small size, it has an uncanny feeling to it.
Yeah.
So it's just everywhere you go in this village just feels wrong and kind of strange. And it adds to the atmosphere of the village that just makes the village.
That abandoned factory is one of my favorite, because there are plenty of treasures to find. The spinel just casually sitting in the fireplace, that was cool. But I always loved that section where you're like ducking behind the dumpsters and they're throwing dynamite, because if you shoot the dynamite in midair, it sets off all the bear traps and it's no longer like a hazard. And there's water on the ground. It's not in the PS2 version. I defend the PS2 version quite a bit. A lot of people like to crap on it because the visuals are a little, they're not up to snuff when compared with the GameCube version. The textures are a little muddy, but you know what? Gameplay wise, it holds up fine. It plays just as good as the GameCube version. It's got some audio, is compressed. I kind of think that's charming. I won't lie. I don't like the cutscenes being pre-rendered though, because then you can only get the cutscenes for the default outfit, which is really stupid, because your outfit will change when you get into a cutscene and have to do like a QTE, which is really freaking dumb. But
the default outfit's the best outfit anyway, so that's not really a problem.
Yeah, that's true. So just wear the default outfit if you're playing the PS2 version. But then you get through there and you get underground. You can kill bass, and then if you don't have the large attaché case, that when you I forgot to talk about this. This is so silly of me. You encounter the villager for the first time in that little quarry area.
The merchant.
The merchant. Yeah, he's like, over here, stranger. And you go back there and he's got like claws and like these weird eyes and
his eyes glow in the dark. He's hooded.
Yeah.
He has a rough, gravelly voice with an accent that doesn't match the locale. And prior to this, the only thing that we know about him is that he wants you to shoot these medallions he left around the village for a game.
Yeah, he's just having fun. He's like, you know what he's like? He's like G-Man.
Yeah, he's just there.
Australian G-Man.
All we know is he likes to shoot medallions. He will buy and sell you things
has G-Man's face
at exploitative prices.
I think that's just G-Man.
Maybe.
I got something rare for you, Mr. Freeman. But yeah, no, in the initial selection isn't that great, sure, but you got the rifle. If you didn't pick up the shotgun because you're stupid, he's got a shotgun for sale. You can sell that shotgun. All those spinels you found. Your first playthrough, you're gonna be an idiot and you're gonna sell the beer stein and the cat's eye separately because you're dumb. You don't know what you're doing yet. You can sell the bass when you run into him the next time. And then you get into the house, and that's when you really start to figure out what's going on. Hunnigan explains it's the Los Illuminados. You get to see the first puzzle you get there is you're putting together their little emblem on that door.
That's the rotation puzzle.
Yeah, the first one. And then you got that's when you meet the big cheese and whatnot, which I didn't know when you were younger. No, when you were younger. When I was younger, that if you go back through the door, there's another cutscene where he'll try to kill you, and Ada saves you.
Shoots him through the window.
I didn't know that. My first time playing through, I didn't do that. I just went straight through. And I remember leaving that house, crapping myself. There's a single egg in the oven. I always love that. But just crapping myself because you walk outside and there's just another Salvador out there with the chainsaw.
I have vivid memories of...
Oh, the TMP was available too. I forgot.
I have vivid memories of me being terrible at video games and being stuck on that chainsaw instance for ages.
You can run past them though.
Yeah, I didn't know that. You're talking about a 4-year-old.
And then you go back to the same village. It's like they're back working. They don't even seem to care that they know there's this crazy gringo running through, slaughtering everybody. If you heard a cat, ignore it. And then when I was younger, I thought that building you get through to get to the tunnel to get to the church, I thought that was the church. I thought that building was the church because it was kind of churchy looking.
Yeah, it did look.
And when I heard the music, which I played in the beginning, that sort of warm glow, I thought that was organ music. I thought there was a church service going on. I didn't realize that the church was farther in.
Why does that tunnel exist? Why couldn't they have just built
a path to the church? Because it doesn't look that far away. You look in the horizon, it looks like it's right there. You could.
That's probably some leftover Devil May Cry.
We'll get to that. And then you meet the villager the second time, and the treasure map, always good to buy if you don't know where the stuff is at first, because honestly, those spinels, they add up. I remember when I was younger, I thought the little puzzle when you get to the church, which by the way, another great environment. That cemetery, the nightfall set. It's easy for us to forget. Resident Evil 4 takes place over one night. It is just one night. You get there in the evening and you leave in the morning. It's one night.
Yeah, you're right. It is one night.
It's one night.
Yeah, the sun starts rising when you get to the island.
Yeah.
And that's after you've been down. I kept thinking that it was the castle was a full day in and of itself, but no.
It's just one night.
Yeah, by all means, he's in there for 2 hours.
No, 12-hour shift. It's like a 12-hour shift, man. It's like I work 12s in real life. This dude's just pulling a 12. But yeah, then you meet the villager again. I'm glad they only did the little cutscene. I'm glad they only did that twice, because after a while that probably get irritating. But then the church is where you can get more of the medallions. And when I was younger, I thought that little puzzle in the back where you get the green cat's eye. First of all, I didn't realize how brilliant it was that it hinted at it. Because you'll see the graves that have the two emblems, like twins, right? And the headstones, there are some that are twins. They're double, and that's how you can tell which symbols to unlock on the green cat's eye game in the back.
I just kept pushing buttons till it opened.
And then you realize it only takes 4 or 5 moves to solve later on. There are a lot of puzzles that when you get later into life, you realize that they are really stupid easy. But But that's another puzzle, and then you can finish. That's actually the earliest point at which you can collect the Punisher, is because there are only 7 or 8 medallions in the farm, and then there's like 7 or 8. I can't remember exactly because there are
And you
15 total. You need 10.
10, yeah.
And there are 15 total. Because then
Okay.
the one nice thing about the game is the merchants weren't around the corner, except one instance
You
where
can see the
you could see
merchant
one
from the
merchant
merchant.
from the other merchant. Another reason to think he's G-Man. But most of the time in the game, there are not back-to-back merchants, but they're not too far away either. There's always gonna be one there for you, right?
I don't know what version it is, but just the idea that you can see the merchant standing next to the other merchant.
Not next to him, but you can stand at like where the ski lift starts, and then you can look down one direction. There's a merchant. Look down the other direction. There's another merchant.
You stand 10 feet away from the merchant, and you can see another merchant. And they're not the same instance. If you kill one, the other lives.
Well, in pro mode.
In pro mode, okay.
Yeah, because in all other ones, if you kill the merchant, you leave and come back. He's there.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be really terrible if you killed one merchant. You could just never use in the rest of the game. Although I know you can beat it without the merchant. But then after you get through the church, you get to the area where you will later face El Gigante. And you want to make sure that you have a grenade or you have like a flash grenade, because killing all those crows at the same time and collecting all that loot is so good. And just the environments, like as you're going through, before you get to like the little boardwalk area over the lake, you can take a detour, go down their stairs. There's a nice little comforting merchant there who has ammo on the fucking stand and will not sell you ammo. Now, as a kid, I was really mad about that. I'm kind of happy he can't sell you ammo. It adds to the tension. Maybe if he sold you a limited amount, like you could only buy 50 handgun bullets or something. But
I would have been fine with it if it was ridiculously overpriced. Like, we're talking, he sells you 1 stack for the price of like what you could sell him 5 for. Like something ridiculous. That way, you'll never really have to worry about running out of ammo and have to resort to the knife. But it's a conscious decision for the player's part to choose to continue with just a knife. And if that, I feel like that would add a small bit of tension or even some replayability, like just playing through the game only getting ammo from the merchant, for example, or something.
yeah,
But I think it was the better decision to ultimately leave it to where he does not sell you ammo.
I love how I didn't talk about the boulder chases this whole time, even though there's like 2.
By this point, you would have seen 2 or 3 of them, yeah.
Just 2.
Just 2?
I believe it's just 2. Or only 1. No, you would have only... Wow, I must be confused. No, it's just 1, because there's another boulder chase after you leave this area and go to walk down to that boardwalky type area in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the last one that I know of, thank goodness.
This is before the game gets egregious with the QTEs.
Yes. In fact, you only had 1 QTE prior to this point.
Which that was dodging the axe to break out.
Yeah. Thank God those guys don't speak English, because that's the only way Lewis and Leon could have coordinated that. Just now, I love how he knew what he thought.
It's protagonist energy. They're the main characters.
But I love the lakeside, like before you get to the lake. I love that, because you can go to the top and you can see them dumping the other cop's body into the river.
I feel like it'd be wrong of us to mention that you shouldn't shoot the water.
Yeah. Yeah, you shoot the water, the river monster comes out and freaking eats you. But I love that, because here's the thing. You go to get in that boat. When you think about it, there was never any point in getting into that boat, because you leave from the same area you got on the boat. But that fight is amazing, because it doesn't use your regular weapons. You both have to dodge the obstacles in the lake.
Yeah, there's dead trees. There's
I've struggled mightily with the achievement not falling over, but I've done it once.
I'm pretty sure I've done it as well. I mean,
but that's when it gets crazy with the quick time events, where you have to spam and cut the rope.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not an overly long fight if you know what you're doing. What I really like is after the fight, Leon's starting to get the effects from the Plagas and whatnot. The eggs are hatching, crap like that. I do like how you can get back onto the boat and get that one merchant that's just in a cave in the middle of the river somewhere. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't.
And you can climb over top and push stuff and get behind him and collect treasures.
Yeah, I don't know why he's there.
Again, it's just for treasures. That's one of those merchants that is really unnecessary because there's another one not far from there.
Yeah, the one that you have to go through.
Yeah, to get to El Gigante because then, when the first dude's head explodes and the Plagas comes out. And honestly, everybody argues about which Plagas because there are 3 types of Plagas that you'll encounter with enemies. That one where they're kind of whipping the knife around. Yeah. The second one, which just chomps your head off. And the third one, which is the little bug that comes out and still attacks you after they're dead. I would argue the first Plagas is the most annoying because the range on that thing, it's like Kratos.
And it also doesn't care if you would stagger the body. You shoot it in the leg or you shoot it with a rifle and it stuns.
It's not going to matter.
It doesn't matter if you're within range. You get hit and it will keep hitting you.
And it does a lot of damage.
And if you're too close, you'll get hit
multiple times.
And by the time the stagger is over, if you're not immediately moving, you're getting hit again.
Yeah, the nice thing is flash grenades do kill him instantly. I'll never understand that.
It's all Plagas, right? Or is it just okay?
Yeah, that's why we'll get to it later in the castle. There's a situation where you have to fight all 3 types of Plagas in one go. And you want flash grenades. But then, that's one of the only points I can think of next that comes up next when you get where you can possibly get soft locked, which is when if you run out of ammo, how are you going to shoot those crates down? Because you have to shoot the crates off the chains in order to build the bridge to shut off the water flow so you can get back to the area where you take the boat to the village. I mean, back to the merchant and then go up and fight El Gigante, which the El Gigante fight is amazing.
None of those crates down there are guaranteed ammo drops?
No, I'm saying you will have ammo drops down there. I'm just saying when you shoot the big boxes, the shipping crates, you have to have ammo to do that.
Yeah, I just assuming there's got to be a guaranteed drop there, but there's also enemies. So.
But that first El Gigante fight is amazing, especially if you don't have a rocket launcher.
The setup and the cutscene prior to it is perfect. It's one of my favorite segments of the entire game. Is just the reveal of this guy.
Yeah, because you hear him moaning and groaning before,
and they mentioned some notes of a man growing exponentially. I think this is where we get the name of the chainsaw guy as being Dr. Salvador. Mm-hmm. Is from him, documenting what's happening as these Plagas mutate these people.
I think he just looks like a giant version of that guy from 300.
Yeah, I think so.
Even though 300 was made way afterwards, but it's a great fight. The setup where you have to kind of stun him and then stab his back, or again, if you have a rocket launcher, it's just one hit, and it's a decent payout. You get 15,000 petas,
and he's a really fun boss fight. For numerous reasons, he's probably my favorite fight in the entire game. Even though it's a ridiculously simple boss, you just run away and shoot him. He grabs trees from the environment and will swing them at you.
The dog coming in to distract.
Which, depending on, your preferences, that might be worse.
Yeah.
Because it pulls his aggro off you and he'll switch aggro back and forth. And you can't hide in those small houses.
Because he'll break them.
He'll just he'll walk through them. I think just his walking animation breaks them. I know he stomps on them. And he'll grab trees and just swing down the middle of them.
Yeah. The only problem with El Gigante is that they do use it too much. You end up facing 4. 2 at once, 2 separately.
And one of them's armored.
Yeah. So we'll get into the other El Gigante fight. In this particular Gigante fight, once he breaks the huts, the items inside disappear.
Yes.
But the second time that doesn't happen. Because you had
in the valley.
Because you had to pick up the key.
Yeah, you're right.
But then you rescue the puzzle inside of the church is really not that mind bending. The light puzzle when you get back to the church. Those friggin' dogs, which I didn't realize going back to the church was not the first time you encounter those dogs.
I remember
if you turn back the other way on the lake, if you turn back the other way by accident, the dogs are there too.
Yeah, I thought they were on the cliffside paths, those wooden pathways.
Because if I understand correctly, maybe I'm stupid. No, I used to think you were able to go back the other way and get to the village that way, and fight Gigante, but that's not true. You have to take the other route where you have to shoot the shipping crates down, because that's how you get the Illuminatus pendant. But yeah, the game will punish you for backtracking sometimes, which I think is utterly hilarious. But that light puzzle in the church isn't that big of a deal. The revealing of Ashley with her terrible "don't come," like that terrible line, just like not even like get your mind out of the gutter. It just the acting on it is terrible.
It's terrible, and that's kind of what makes it amazing.
Don't come. Throws a board at you.
What was no? That was in the remake where they throw a candelabra.
Yeah, it just I don't get it. And then you encounter Sadler, and we know he has the power to just kill Leon right there. So why doesn't he?
It's part of the game. I don't mean that in meta. I mean like it's just part of the game. Sadler, by all means, Leon's infected.
Mhm.
Ashley's infected. It's a matter of time until Leon's under his control. He's just fucking with him. He's playing.
Well, this is what gets me. When you leave the church, it's the most polarizing point of the game. The escort. It's not that bad.
I don't think it's ever been that bad. I've seen clips where it's been that bad.
It's
But
inconvenient, but it's your fault if you kill Ashley or she's too close to you or whatever. You had to help her out of a bear trap.
Yeah. Or in the very rare cases where you just make a mistake and she gets grabbed a little too close to a loading door.
Yeah.
And you just instantly lose and it's outside of your control. But
oh, you pervert.
Ashley's never been. I love that video where the dude suplexes.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley has never been that bad, at least in my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I also, in my many playthroughs, I don't see a reason to ever have her not be on your hip.
Mm-hmm.
Hiding her in the crates does nothing besides make you wait.
No. I will defend it. So after you get, I'll get to that where it's useful to make her hide in the crates. But you can have her hide in the crates during the farm when they just put a crate there that wasn't there earlier.
Yeah, it is just kind of thrown there.
And you cross this bridge. Oh, we're sandwiched, all right, because your escort out of there is shot down, and then you have to do the very intense cabin fight.
A great fight.
It's great, and if you shoot Lewis too many times, he'll kill you. And Lewis is using the single best pistol in the game during that encounter. So he has a good taste in guns, even though he doesn't have the stock on it, which, hey, you're kind of screwing yourself over. But he is using the best pistol in the game. He does drop items, you can save him, things like that. I love how they just give up, like, Vobonos. It's like, yeah, I just killed 50 of your guys. I'm not sure if it's a certain number or a certain amount of time that has to go by before the fight ends. I've never known whether or not it was a raw number or how many minutes have to go
I think
by.
that's one of those where it's like the initial village segment where it's 7 minutes or 15 enemies.
Yeah, right. That's how it works.
And it reduces time based on how many you kill, something along those lines. I never really cared. The cabin is so fun and intense that you don't really want it to end. After this moment in the game, for me at least, it felt like the intensity was kind of fading a little bit.
Well,
it became more rhythmic. Leon has understood kind of like the situation he's going on to. So the gameplay loop, the discovering new enemies, it kind of becomes rhythmic now. You're kind of getting into the setting of the game, and the whole game from the cabin onward takes a more action-oriented approach to kind of reflect that.
Yeah.
And I think it works for the story they're telling and the game they're trying to make you play. It fits the cool guy, badass aesthetic that Leon Kennedy is supposed to have. And going from that place where you start unlocking more weapons for the merchant and so on and so forth, but after the cabin, after dealing with Luis, after dealing with the whole segment where the questionably large amount of villagers just vanish.
Then you get the choose your own adventure.
Yeah, you get your choose your own adventure path where if you do anything but both of them, you're just screwing yourself over.
Yeah, you got to do both. I don't like maybe your first playthrough, I understand it, but
or if you're short on ammo or something.
The Gigante's too easy because you have those rocks to shoot down on him. And that'll damage him pretty good. You can do that 3 times. He's easier the second time around, right?
He just has less health.
The other end with the Bella sisters is so good. So good.
Yeah, that's one of those top 5.
And that is when I will defend hiding Ashley in the crate. Because she is a hindrance with the Bella twins. She is a hindrance with all those enemies up on that wooden walkway. Dispatch with all of them first and then call Ashley. I defend having her in a crate. You do not want her on your hip with that many enemies around you. Ever.
No, that's fair. I'll give you that one.
And then when you get through the ski lift, I love the ski lift. I almost died not that long ago on the ski lift. I'm like, am I really gonna die to these guys throwing? Am I gonna die to some blue collar bitches throwing axes at me?
Who would win in a fight? The debatably the most well trained man on the planet, the president's right hand saving his daughter, or a bunch of blue collar workers with sickles throwing them at a man with dangerously perfect accuracy.
Yeah, seriously. I love how they would jump on your cart too. Ashley does a little fist pump every time you shoot one off, and it kind of irritates me once I notice that. And that's when you get the last cat's eye, and that's the first like multi-item treasure. Although I think not the headdress, the elegant mask, I think you can put spinels in to increase its value.
I don't know. I never really combined the treasure.
I never really screwed with them, but
money is easy enough to get in this game that unless you're buying and selling stuff to like trial the weapons, which is a reasonable thing to do on a first playthrough.
Even a second playthrough or third.
Oh yeah, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever.
You're trying to milk money.
Yeah, you're never really hurting for money. I'd say with the dynamic difficulty the game puts in based on how well you play
on normal mode,
you're more hurting for ammo than anything else. And I'd say most players aren't comfortable enough yet with the knife to really see just how that's like effectively the best weapon in the game.
It's great. I'm glad we got a chance to kind of get into some of the weaponry. We'll get into more of it later. The knife is great when you realize that if you don't have that many enemies around you, if you shoot one in the leg, kick them, and then just stab them,
or knife them in the leg, knife them in the eyes.
Yeah, knife them anywhere. You can like, the knife is great. It actually turns one of the bosses later in the game into a cakewalk.
I think that's the intended way to fight him. I don't know any other way to do it that's
we'll get efficient. There. We'll get there. Then you got the big cheese, which is like that one boss fight where Ashley is not a part of it. You have a QTE. That's a great fight because when you think it's over, he's hopping from the rafters and it's not overly hard, but it is challenging enough. You have to keep moving.
It is extremely cinematic. And if that was in a action movie or a horror thriller,
it would be a well-regarded scene.
It would easily be revered.
Iconic, yeah.
Yes. And my favorite thing about this is thanks to randomizer mods, his legs in that scene are a separate entity entirely.
I love it.
They fucking programmed legs
to keep walking.
To keep walking and fall over.
I have a love for when he turns around before the fight starts and he like twists the door handles. It's like when you want to leave your shift early, but they're short staffed at work. Your boss will turn around.
It is wrenches. It's a small metal rod, right? Or is it
the bars?
It's just bars.
The doors.
Just the doors.
The handles. You just like you just twist it like it's nothing. It's like butter.
I probably should have replayed the game before we did this.
It's all right. I did recently several times.
But yeah, he wrenches the bar. This dude's also like 8 feet tall.
He's massive.
He's 8 feet tall. He's infected with a parasite that violates the conservation of mass or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wrenches these doors shut and chokes you, doesn't kill you, throws you across this building.
And then you light him on fire and it just makes him more powerful.
Yeah, then he challenges you to an honorable duel. You cheat by lighting him on fire. His legs come after you as he hangs from the ceiling. This boss fight is over the top. It is ridiculous, and I love it.
Yeah, and then you escape and it's like, what's that? Honestly, probably the scariest part of the game. And it's so stupid.
Yeah, I could easily say scariest part of the game.
No. I was going to get into the scariest part of the game. When you take his eye and you go through that door and that truck just starts like barely. Because if you were stupid and you ran up too fast, you got this mammoth coming towards you. You got to kill the driver.
And on later versions, the dot is harder to see.
Uh-huh.
So if you're not using the sniper rifle they give you, you have a really hard time once you get lucky with a shotgun pellet. Because you just have to do 1 damage to him, I think, is the code.
Yeah.
You just need to nick him with something.
You just need to hit him. Or you can shoot the truck until it blows up.
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, and then afterwards, like, the door opens and there's like 12 of them that show up. Dispatch with all of them. Then you get into the castle, which is when the game really just takes its own identity, I think. So we're just gonna very quickly, before we move on to the castle, get into like the weaponry made available to you in the first third. So you got the rocket launcher you can get. If you want to make your playthroughs
trivial,
just have a rocket launcher in you at all times before you fight a boss. then they're really easy to dispatch with.
Um,
The standard handgun is a nice balanced weapon. All of the stats will be when you max it out with the tune up. Another thing I forgot to mention you can do with the merchant is you can tune up your weapons. The handgun fully tuned up, all the stats will be middling. There will be no disadvantage whatsoever. It is just very middling.
it's worth mentioning that your handguns will be, by and large, your primary
You have to
weapons.
use them.
There is a handgun literally for every archetype you would want.
Or TMP. A lot of people use that as their primary, but that's a little. The thing is with the handgun, the base handgun. We'll talk about the 3 you can get early on. The base handgun's great. The Red 9,
fucking powerhouse.
undoubtedly the single greatest pistol. If we're gonna get into it, to me, it's the best pistol in the game because when fully upgraded, it has 22 rounds in the mag. The stock makes it basically a rifle from a distance.
Gives it
And
next to zero
fully
sway.
upgraded, it's 6.5 damage. That's like half of a Magnum shot. We haven't even got to Magnums, but Magnums are really powerful. Like 2 shots out of this thing, anything you hit's basically dead. Any Ganato's dead. Any one of them. You hit him twice, head explodes. You hit him once sometimes, head explodes with that random damage amplifier. It's perfect in every single way. But then we got this chuckle nuts over here, who seems to think for some reason, I couldn't tell you why, my man's here believes the Punisher is the best one in the game. I wish you could hear the music I'm playing right now because
I
it's
see Clown Fiesta on your soundboard.
We're gonna let him make his
So-
case. Make your case.
So, the Punisher is my preferred pistol. By
Go ahead.
by default, it can pierce one enemy, hit another.
And does no damage.
It does low damage, yes.
No damage.
It does low damage.
It gives them health when you shoot
It does
them.
not. I don't think it's that weak. I think the Blacktail does less damage.
Nope.
No, more damage?
Nope. More.
Okay. So is the
I can look on a wiki while you're doing this.
Yeah, go for it. So, in my brain, when I'm using the pistol, I am using it entirely for versatility. I'm not using it for damage output because ammo is so plentiful for the pistols. I don't think it's the highest drop rate. I'm not sure how the drop rates work in this game for ammo. I know it only drops what you have, weapon-wise. So you can kind of manipulate the drops to somewhat of an extent. I think this could all be placebo.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer the Punisher for the simple fact that by the time you get it, you're dealing with the cabin. You are just going into the castle, which we'll touch on in a second. But the Punisher itself has the piercing effect. When it fully upgraded and maxed out, it can pierce through 5 enemies at once. I still think it takes, 6 rounds to kill somebody?
Yeah.
If you...
Level 2 Blacktail is already about as powerful as a Punisher fully upgraded.
Damn.
But anyway,
But, its the ability to pierce multiple enemies can conserve ammo. It can also help you with crowd control because it can cause
conserve
stagger.
ammo. You have to shoot them like 20 times.
You're not listening.
I am.
You're not listening. I think the Punisher's piercing effect more than makes up for its lack of damage. I think the ability to stagger multiple people and open up for melee attacks helps. The plentiful nature of ammo. You could use the same argument for the plentiful nature of ammo on why you should just use the Red 9. And the Red 9 is without a doubt the best pistol in the game. I prefer the Punisher.
Oh, now that the recording's going, you say that.
Oh no, I just give you shit. The Punisher is my preferred pistol because I feel like it's more versatile than the Red 9.
Yeah, but it only holds 6 more rounds than a fully upgraded Red 9.
Right. But it can hit 5 people. It can pierce shields.
Rifle.
It can hit pierce shields through the
Rifle.
castle, and rifle ammo is not as plentiful.
You're full of it. I mean, that's actually not full of it. That is true.
I'm just like I said, I prefer to use a TMP as my primary weapon, but my go-to pistol is the Punisher. I think the piercing effect is too good to pass up in a lot of situations, and especially in the castle because the claustrophobic hallways.
You know what? I'm not gonna. I will never see most of the benefits.
It's also the coolest looking pistol in the game.
It's just a 5.7.
It's a bitchin' 5.7.
It's a 5.7.
It's a 5.7. That's the only argument you need.
Mauser C96.
It's a beautiful handgun, but the real one jammed constantly.
Well, not the Red 9. But the base handgun, when it's fully upgraded, I'm looking at stats right now. I had to literally pull them up because I don't have the stats memorized. I'm not that big of a geek.
Jesus, it's level 6. It does 2 damage.
Yeah, level 6. So it's only moderate. You know what? I'm changing my position. The Punisher is better than the base pistol.
Let's go.
It pales in comparison to what's later. Which, by the way, you get to the castle, you get new weapons. You can get. You can get a broken butterfly, which if you do get it, you're stupid because it's free. Later in the castle, you can get it for free if you do just a little bit of backtracking. You get access to the most worthless weapon in the game, and if you disagree with me on this, I think you're just trying to be a jerk. The mine thrower is useless.
I have never found a situation that I did not intentionally set up where the mine thrower.
If you have the scope, they blow up on impact.
Choice.
If you have the scope, they blow up on impact.
I've never used it enough to buy the scope for it.
Yeah, it's a piece of garbage. It's dumb. The ammo, you think Magnum ammo is rare? Dude, mines are extreme. Mine darts are so rare, it's not even worth.
I remember being told to buy it to sell the ammo.
You know what? That's kind of actually viable. I wouldn't say that's a bad idea because the weapon itself is cheap. I mean, the merchant talks it up. Not only will you need cash, but you'll need guts to buy that weapon. And it's actually just a piece of garbage.
Do you even take damage from the explosion?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you get the Blacktail, which, you know, is a more than serviceable pistol, fully upgraded. It holds 35 rounds. That's what's great about it.
It's the highest mag size pistol, correct?
Yeah.
Or is that the default with 50?
The Matilda.
Which you have to beat the game to get, so we're not going to count that yet.
But in the fully upgraded does 3.4 damage, which you have to shoot about 4 rounds to get one Magnum. Its fire speed is very high, though. Its fire speed is really, really high. It shoots fast. So you have a lot of bullets and it shoots fast. The semi-auto rifle, look, if you don't buy it, you're dumb. There is, with the handguns and shotguns, barely talked about shotguns because really they're just crowd control. The riot gun is great. It has a very tight bullet spread. It's really far. It's penetrative more so than the striker is with its ammo, I believe. The riot gun's great.
It's my preferred shotgun.
You can make arguments with handguns and shotguns, which one's the best. You cannot make that argument between the rifle and the semi-auto rifle. You find me one advantage the normal rifle has. You're crazy. The semi-auto rifle, I'm looking at the stats right now. Fully upgraded, 24 rounds. The fire speed is really freaking fast when it's upgraded.
It doesn't increase in... Oh, no, I'm reading the wrong chart.
And the firepower goes up to 15. You basically got a Magnum at that point. So that's why I find the Punisher to be a moot point, because in the castle, which we're about to get into, a lot of the enemies have shields, and that's one of the advantages of the Punisher, is they'll go through the shield and penetrate the enemy. Thing is, the rifle will do that as well. The semi-auto rifle literally does that.
Correct, but my leading argument for the Punisher is just the sheer amount of plentiful ammo. You could use the same argument with the TMP, with how much ammo that thing has in its mags. You can just break the shield and kill the guy anyway.
Yeah, I never had too much fun with the TMP.
I really enjoyed it. I like setting up melee chains.
When you get to the castle, we went really in depth with the village. So the castle, I'm going to kind of keep it nice and brisk and only bring
the lava room.
I like the Garradors. That's a brilliant concept. To have a blind enemy.
Was the blind?
They're blind.
So
that's crazy.
Minor topic of cut content. The suppressor for the ghost.
Yeah.
The silver ghost, the default pistol.
Yeah.
I think it was only for that pistol. That was supposed to be its gimmick. Did they cut it because the Garradors are blind, or did they cut it because it just trivialized the Garradors already more than they already are?
I think it was probably because it trivialized the Garradors. The Garradors, when you first fight them, if you don't know they're blind, you don't know what to do.
They're a scary as hell looking enemy. Their eyes are stitched up. Their mouths are stitched up. I like how
you have to kind of strategize, because later there's a point in the castle where you fight 2 of them at once. You're going up this giant staircase and you fight 2 of them at once. You got to be real careful with that. But
bells on the walls help a little.
So the reason we're kind of brisking through the castle is not only because we're already like way into this podcast, but also just the fact that a lot of the castle blends together. Some great points from the castle. The hardest room in the game everybody hates. We just call it the water room. God, it is awful. You got enemies coming at you from the front, both sides, behind. You have to get down these stairs, have Ashley balance on something. You have to turn a crank, or she has to turn one. You have to protect her the whole time. She has to turn 2 cranks up above. You get out of there. But the interior of the castle is so beautiful, especially when you're going through those small rooms.
They were in either France or England for like 2 weeks.
Studying.
Taking pictures and studying to get
going through the castle, I can smell how musky it is in there.
Yeah, that thing's
full of reeking of mildew. It's awful. And it has the castle has the hardest puzzle in the game. You have to have 6 dead people on the wall. The solution is 1, 2, 3.
Oh
4.
yeah.
But once you get through the castle, you got the hedge maze, which if you play on easy on the later releases, which if you do, you're literally just cutting out parts of the game. If you play on easy mode, the hedge maze is blocked off. You can't even do the hedge maze, which why would you want that?
I mean, the hedge maze is a minor annoyance. It's definitely a filler puzzle, if you can call it a puzzle.
Mm-hmm. And then you reunite with Ashley. They're in the castle. There's a portion where you play as Ashley. And it's so short. It's just like a little puzzle. The slider puzzle, the first time you play it, there's a part where you have to put down your own tablet. But you have to get the slider puzzle right. When I first played the game, I was like, oh man, how do I figure out the slider puzzle? It's literally the easiest puzzle in the world once you got to figure it out. And Ashley in the GameCube version, there was actually a glitch where if you hit an enemy with a door, you could suplex people. That was in the game. And they took it out in the PS2 release. Ashley could literally suplex enemies.
The best timeline.
Where'd she get the flashlight? That's what I want to know. Very short part of the game, but it breaks it up. And I like that. And then after that, there is a room my friend here wanted to talk about specifically. The lava room. There is no reason for that to be there. You ride this giant rotary thing. He just gets on and he's like, wait here. How it doesn't fall over is beyond me.
We somehow also forgot to mention, what's his name?
Salazar?
Yeah. We somehow forgot to mention Salazar, this 2-foot tall mastermind, most diabolical person to ever exist.
Mm-hmm.
He has a room in his castle to store his lava. Because what other purpose does that room serve?
And it's such an easy room to get through, but I love it anyway.
It's
where you get the last piece of the because Salazar stops you from getting through by dropping a giant wall and just putting giant metal plates in it opens it. Like why did they have the metal plates just laying around?
Why they had the lava room?
That's a good point. Why didn't they just move that giant thing you ride to the lava room? Why didn't they just move it to the other side?
I mean, why didn't they just fill the whole castle with lava? That's slowly on down.
The obvious answer is there would be no game. But during this, the Noristadors, is that what they're called? The guys in the sewer that are partially invisible. Those are so cool.
All the bodyguards,
the bugs, they're so cool.
Yeah, I don't remember their name, but they are my favorite enemy.
They're invisible. They vomit on you.
Yeah, they vomit on you. They'll hang from the ceiling and grab you by your throat with their tail.
One of the coolest optional side missions in the game starts in the castle right after you encounter them, you know, which by the way, keep a grenade because you can kill all the guys doing the ritual and you get so much crap from them. That's right. You get the shooting galleries.
Which I've never done.
I love them. There's no reason not to do them. But you don't have to if you don't care for it. But in my opinion, there's no reason not to do them because they give you bottle caps. Every time you complete a row, they give you a ton of money. And you're not burning your own ammo. And you get practice shooting. I think it's great. I think they're great side missions. Now, it takes basically the whole game to be able to access all of the shooting games. But it's just free money at that point.
But money isn't inherently hard to keep in this game.
But we were talking a minute ago about like really unnecessary crap in the game. The minecart ride is great. And before you get to the minecart, there's like a spinel mine. And actually, if you are patient enough, it's kind of like farming eggs, waiting for the chickens to drop them. If you wait in the spinel mine, you can literally just mine infinite spinels. They'll just fall from the ceiling.
This I did not know.
Yeah, it's basically infinite spinels. Another thing I forgot to mention, the castle is just so full. That's why we can't go through it in order. We'll be here all day. That area where you have to fight all the knights, and each one of them is progressively the different stage of Plagas. And if you save your flash grenades, it's trivial.
The castle is the only part of the game that really opens up and feels like Resident Evil to an extent.
Yeah.
You have, I mean, your choices are just left or right most of the time, but they're still choices, no matter how minor they are. You can kind of break the flow and do things in a slightly different order, if I'm remembering
The
right.
minecart rite's so intense. And then it leads to the unnecessary robot Salazar. It has no reason to be there. I love every bit of it.
He should have put his robot in his lava room and just made it one big main event where you're dodging lava and running from this giant fucking robot in this. I've tried to wrap my head around the megalomaniacal nature of Salazar, and I just can't. Why would you need a giant robot of yourself when you're governing farmers?
Then you get that completely unnecessary, totally, completely unnecessary boss fight where you have to freeze the dudes with his right-hand man with liquid nitrogen.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of when you were talking about the Novice doors. No, I wasn't thinking about them. Oh, no.
Yeah. No, that was... I love it. It's a good fight.
Verdugos?
Yeah. It feels unnecessary. And then the boss fight... The lead up to the boss fight is great when you're going up that elevator. Very, very slowly, and guys will weigh it down, and you have to push crates off of it. And then his boss fight is actually pretty freaking easy when you think about it. You just shoot him enough times, shoot the eye enough times to expose him, and then you just hit him. It's not hard to do.
The beehive room. His giant beehive room.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what that room's supposed to be without the beehive in it. You can't see enough of the room because the beehive.
It's such a cool fight. And the castle, I know it seems like we glossed over it, but trust me, you really got to play the game yourself to really take in. I think everybody would agree that the castle is pretty much the best part of the game.
The castle also feels like it's the bulk of the game, but feels like the shortest part. So much happens so quickly in such a well-paced manner.
The mine, you got the two gigantes you have to fight.
Yes.
You can drown one in lava, but not both.
And if you drown him and stand too close, and
he'll get you.
The player has no way of knowing this. He'll reach out of the lava, drag you in, instant death.
Can you imagine if you get really close, you kill them both, and then you stand a little too close, and then he hops up? Dude, you'd be so pissed.
That's probably have happened to me at least once.
But the castle's so great. The island is the most unusual part of the game because it doesn't fit in with the rest of it, but I still love every last second of it because it starts so intense. You got to do the puzzle with the laser. You got to you can shoot the lights out, and if you shoot the lights out, it prevents you from being noticed early on. It's great.
I think I read that the island was left over from the second version of the game that they scrapped. The one that's referred to as the fog, I think.
That makes a lot of sense. And
because that one was even more action oriented.
Would we agree the island was definitely the most action oriented segment of the game?
I mean, you're getting shot at by zombies
constantly.
And you have a moment where you're getting escorted by a helicopter. You're dealing with what they call him JJ.
Yeah.
A giant dude with a minigun.
Dude, this guy's crazy.
They literally let you buy a bulletproof vest.
There's a guy that jumps out of an oven or a refrigerator or something like that. I swear to God, best jump scare in a game.
The regenerators that are bullet sponges. Ashley drives a 50-ton truck.
Now, the regenerators are only bullet sponges if you're stupid and sell your infrared scope.
Yeah.
You can just knife them to death, though, and it's actually pretty easy. You just hit them in the leg and you knife them, and eventually they die.
Punisher justice. That thing should be able to shoot the weak spots.
Yeah.
Do my Punisher right.
The puzzles aren't that bad. I like how you can use the little crane and pick people up and drop them in the trash pit. Where do they go? You survived. Ashley survived. You tell me all these other guys don't survive?
The already ridiculous nature of the game gets cranked to 11.
I will say the island also has the most annoying crap. Like when the guys are shuffling the key cards around when you're trying to escape with Ashley to get to that trash room. Oh my gosh, it's so annoying. But then you get down there and they got the regenerator that has spikes and he will pull you into him and spike up and kill you.
The room design, like the level layout, also changes a lot because you went from open areas in the village to tight corridors in the castle.
But with some openness.
Right. And then now you're talking a lot of square rooms that are 30 feet wide.
With very interesting scenery.
Very interesting scenery. And now they're throwing enemies at you in groups of 5.
Or more.
And I think they are actually wearing armor, so if you shoot them in the chest, the bullets do no damage.
And then you got those guys that have like the spikes coming out of their head. They have maces. They're giant, and there's only one little spot on them where you can really hit them and do any damage.
Yeah, so this is where a lot of people claim the game falls off.
I disagree. It gets different.
It gets different, and it's the natural progression of the gameplay flow. but it does difficulty spike sharply from the caves and U3 that we just glossed over, I think.
No, we didn't get there.
Not there yet. Okay.
But yeah, the regenerators are a great enemy. You encounter them enough, especially when you're going through that little area with the garage doors. You had to crawl under and crap like that. But yeah, then you can get to the U3 fight, and he's just like a scorpion guy. He's great.
He's like a centaur from Fallout.
He's great. He's great. I love him. It's an intense fight. You got to shoot the lights out, jump.
And I don't think we get a single bit of information on why he exists.
I think that's right before the Krauser fight. You get through the little camp there, and then yeah, there's a segment where Ashley was literally driving this giant piece of equipment, running over trucks, and you had to save her. It's better. It's better than the minecart.
Absolutely better than the minecart.
Because the minecart you could kind of cheese just by shooting people down. It was not hard at all.
Dead Space used this in the Dead Space 2. They pulled this from the game.
But the Krauser boss fight, it starts intense, but then you can just knife him to death. It's not even hard to do.
So when you shoot Krauser in this fight, after he spends the entire time shooting at you with crossbows and guns, he calls you a bitch if you shoot at him.
Yeah, basically.
So,
dude, and rocket launchers won't even work because that shield he's got.
Yeah, his cool ass arm, which is just blades, because he's
looks like bird feathers.
Yeah, he's like super plagas. He's like he got happy with the parasite, and they work now, and they're just buddies, I guess. Krauser confuses me a little bit.
And then Ashley and Leon, they have this utterly painful removal of the plagas.
Yeah, they get radiation treatment. The plagas melts inside of them, and then they suddenly get better over like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then you cook through, you fight Krauser, you get off the island on a jet ski, which is really funny.
After you fight
Sadler. Yeah, bitch fight. You just shoot the barrels when he stands next to him. He opens up, you stab him, crap like that, and then eventually Ada's like, "Here, Leon, take this rocket launcher that's the same as all the other rocket launchers, but red, and it'll kill him instantly." Then you get the jet ski keys, and then you can do the infamous Ditman glitch. Hang on, sweetheart, and then you go before the jet ski does. He just zooms away. I like the ending. I like dodging all that stuff on the jet ski. It's cool. And then Ashley's like, "Hey, you want to fuck?" And he's like, "Nah, I like life outside prison." and that's basically RE4. Yeah, we kind of glossed over it. Man, we went really in depth with that village part.
The village is the best part of the game. It's the meat. It's what gets you into like.
And then you unlock cool shit. You get Separate Ways, which I have to remember was made after the main campaign, so they had to find a way to shoehorn all that crap in there. It's fun. I'm not going to say Separate Ways is amazing. It's a lot of fun. Some of the weapons you can use are good. The fight when you realize Krauser wasn't actually dead. When you fight Sadler in the room where Ashley and Leon cured themselves of the plagas. So Ada's fight with Sadler's pretty good.
I barely remember Ada's campaign.
Assignment Ada, I hardly played. I can't really remember much for Assignment Ada. But honestly, the best unlockable is and always will be Mercenaries. Mercenaries is so fun. Great
the arcade game mode game that became a staple in the franchise.
It had its own standalone game.
Yes, it did. I think every single Resident Evil game besides Village.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I'm not sure, has Mercenaries in some variation.
It's great.
Yeah, it's a perfect arcadey game mode to work with.
You have 5 characters, and all of them are useful.
There's 5 characters in Resident Evil 4?
Leon, Ada, Krauser, Wesker, Hunk.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Krauser. He has a bow and a knife arm.
Hunk looks stupid at first because he only has the TMP, but he can snap necks.
Hunk is the single most overpowered character in the entire franchise.
He's busted.
You just shoot him in the face, you break their neck. You shoot him in the face,
you break their neck. And it works.
You don't even need to set up multiple neck breaks because of how fast the TMP draws, because just the nature of the game. So you can just instantly pop, and it's because he has a stock on this TMP, it's instantly head height where he aims.
Oh, and then you on the unlockable weapons. When you beat the game, you get access to the Matilda, which is just a rapid fire pistol. It's not really. Honestly, it's not really worth using in my opinion. Let me look at its stats real quick. Its top damage is 2.5. That's not bad, but the capacity can be up to 100. It does burn through ammo really quickly. You get the Chicago typewriter, which is an infinite. It still has a reload animation for some reason. It's an infinite ammo SMG.
If you wear the Mafia outfit for beating the game twice, he will do the reload animation, I think once or twice, and throw his hat in the air and catch it and just...
It's great. And then you got the infinite launcher, which is a million petas. It's cheap, but I love it. You have the PRL 412, which is, dude, it ruins the game. You just charge it up, destroy every enemy on screen. Charge it up, destroy every enemy on screen.
You do one playthrough of the game. Sell all of your weapons.
And get the infinite
buy
launcher.
the infinite launcher. And then do another playthrough of the game. Bank all that money. Sell the launcher.
Get the typewriter.
And you can just get the typewriter and then make a separate save slot. And now you have a save with enough money to buy whatever the hell you want to do whatever the hell you want with your next playthrough.
And you can experiment it. And the hand cannon you get for 5-starring every level with every character in Mercenaries. And at first it doesn't have infinite ammo, but the upgrade is but the ammo for the hand cannon once you have it is so common.
Yeah, it's an it's ridiculously common. It's an infinite ammo weapon that drops ammo that sells for so damn much.
And when you fully upgrade it,
it costs less than the infinite launcher to fully upgrade.
And its firepower is 99.9. It has infinite ammo.
And it one-shots
anything.
Everything in the game.
Everything. It doesn't matter what it is. It will one-tap. At that point, it's kind of fun to power through, I won't lie. It's fun to do the Ditman glitch and beat the whole game in less than 2 hours. The Ditman glitch, in case nobody knows, which if you're listening to this, of course you know what Ditman is. You go to raise the striker, you swap to another weapon, and then your animations are twice as fast. And I love every second of it. Because that you can beat the game in under 2 hours, which I did one time. It was ridiculous. But yeah, so effectively that's RA4. We've gone really in depth with weapons. I will comment on the collectibles. They're great. The crown with the insignia and the gem. I really love that kind of stuff. The butterfly lamp. The giant eggs for the Noristadors on the ceiling where you destroy it and it drops a ton of those little eyes. I love that kind of stuff. We can't possibly get into everything. It's mostly just to gush over it. The only flaws I'm trying to think of flaws with the game, and it's so hard.
I got a couple that I thought were valid criticisms that I am more than happy to listen to you dispute.
Yeah, let's go.
My first note on here is special mention for the lava room. Limited exploration and puzzle elements. Comparing it to other Resident Evil games.
It's not meant to be another Resident Evil game.
I know. I also have in here that the primary producer wanted a different take because the games felt samey, in quotes.
And now you're complaining about them not being samey.
I'm not complaining. These are criticisms that I'm listing.
Keep going.
Too much focus on combat in the latter half of the game.
Yeah.
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 Changing it up.
As we already mentioned, it was a natural progression of the gameplay flow.
Yeah. You've spent the entire game upgrading weapons, and now you can fucking use them.
Yeah, now you get the chance to use them, and even better, they shoot back. Extremely linear game.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Not really. Not really.
No?
You go back and get the broken butterfly. There's lots of backtracking you can do. It's not super linear. There are alternate paths you can take. They're not super common. It is a mostly linear experience, but it's not a sandbox by any means. But, yeah.
And this one was a personal one of mine. It's a hardcore nitpick about the lore of the game, but the Illuminados cult never gets mentioned again. Like, for the rest of the franchise, they never mention it again. And in Resident Evil 5, they literally say that this is an evolution of the Plagas, and that's it. I don't think in Resident Evil 6, they even mention Ashley. Like, they just completely forgot that the event of this game
who cares?
happened.
It's an action movie.
I mean, yeah, that's ultimately it's supposed to be fun, but they never do anything again with the Illuminati cult. They don't even explain what the cult wants besides Sadler mentioning briefly world domination, which is as cut and dry as a cult can get.
Oh my god.
I know we're arguing the story of the most actiony action game to ever exist, but it's a legitimate criticism. That's the only one I could think of personally with the game that I have.
I have nothing to respond with that. You're actually correct.
I know that's technically an invalid argument because I'm mentioning other games as a complaint for this one, but the franchise as a whole does heavily reference past games consistently.
Ada.
And they kind of just glossed over the whole super cult in Spain that had an army on an island and an actual navy.
So listen,
they had a submarine.
I'm just gonna cap that discussion with this. It wasn't a Resident Evil game. It was, but it wasn't. The remake turned Resident Evil 4 into Resident Evil 4. That's another episode. That's an entirely different story. The remake is excellent, but it's a very, very different experience. I don't think we can really discuss it much when it comes to a retrospective on the original and why it's so good and the discussions we have on the game. Because honestly, yeah, we're just gonna have to keep the remake and the original separate.
They are
both great experiences on their own.
Different enough that you could easily see someone liking one or the other and hating it. Like you could absolutely see someone preferring Resident Evil 4 original, nostalgia or otherwise, and hating the remake because the games are different enough in style of play, atmosphere, and overall theme. Because given that Resident Evil 4 is a dark game, it is still very goofy. The remake triples down on the grim nature of it.
Yeah.
Like, the one-liners aren't as significant. The acting isn't as over the top. I think Leon does one backflip in the entire game. Like, they're so different that you can't... I don't even think it's fair to compare them to each other because it's a true to its word remake. It's not a remaster. It's not a touch-up. It's not a reimagining. It is a flat to the point remake.
It turns RE4 into RE4.
Yeah, it's a Resident Evil game.
And honestly, I think that's a good point to cap it off. We basically talked about everything in regards to RE4.
I mean, yeah,
one of the single best games ever made.
Critically acclaimed by all.
I highly recommend every single person out there who might not have played it, which is very doubtful if you stumbled upon this podcast, but I highly recommend everybody that hasn't given it a shot.
It goes on sale all the time.
It's so cheap. Get yourself a copy. Play through it just once. And if you hate it, play through it again, because I hated it at first. And just give it a shot. Thanks for hopping on to Hell Corridor with us. And we have another retrospective coming up for another game celebrating its 20th anniversary, known as Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. So stay tuned for that. And happy 20th to RE4.